BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be looking at about that team in our August 17th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom, and tonight, Dan, we're looking at the DeLeon Bearcats.
And this is a team that really struggled last year. Finished 0-10 in Coach Jacob Marwitz's first season. On the bright side, they returned 14 of 21 lettermen from that team, including 7 offensive and 6 defensive starters. And I think the biggest thing will be that they will be in the second year of Coach Marwitz's system, so you should expect some a greater comfort level and maybe some improvement there. It's going to be a challenge for this team again this year. They're in a tough district, a very competitive district, but I would expect DeLeon to put a better product on the field this year.
The question that I would be looking at is, I mean, they may field a better product, but in this district, it might be difficult to prove it. This is a competitive district all the way around, with virtually every team in this league expecting to be better than they were last year.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be a big challenge from that standpoint. The one thing we talked about, just having a greater comfort level with their coach, I think that will be a benefit. And I think the other thing that will be a benefit is that during that 0-10 season last year, they were forced to throw a lot of young kids into the fire, and I think that experience will help them as well. They've got some kids who were freshmen last year that were playing on varsity, and that'll be sophomore this year that I think will give them some a little bit more experience there, but it's still going to be a young group. A lot of their talent in this program is kind of constituted in that sophomore and freshman class. So I think there's a bright future on the horizon. This year could be a struggle just in terms of a young team fighting in a tough district.
Yeah, I think some patience is required. This is still a rebuilding program. Give them some time. It's going to be a difficult league, and the numbers aren't great this time around. But Coach Morrow is pretty high on the sophomore and freshman classes coming up, so that does bode well for the future.
Yeah, and one thing we do on these countdown series is talk about some of the question marks with all of the teams. One of the question marks I think with this team will probably be on the lines. They've got a couple of kids with some good size. Joe Leal's a 6'2", 275. That's a good big kid. White Raspberry's just right about 200 pounds. Logan Sherrard's about 235. So they've got a little bit of size, but just in terms of depth on the lines, I think that could be a challenge for them. So we'll just kind of see how they are able to, address that throughout the season.
Well, the number of freshmen and sophomores going to be seeing playing time it's going to be large. With the numbers that they have, you're going to see quite a few underclassmen out there, and it's just going to be one of those things where you've got to just be patient and bring them along. To me, that's going to be the biggest question for them, is how much can those real young kids contribute.
And when you look at the schedule, they've got a good, I think, challenging non-district schedule for them. Open up August 26th with a home game against Junction. Follow that with road dates at Cross Plains and Valley Mills, and then wrap up non-district with a game against Hico. I think in there you're talking about some teams that may be a little bit ahead of them in terms of kind of rebuilding processes, but there are still teams that I think talent-wise that it'll be good challenges for them. So it'll be interesting to see if that'll help get them ready for district.
District play begins on September 23rd against Bangs. That's going to be a home date. Then they go to Goldthwaite on the 30th. They host San Saba on the 7th. They go to Toller on the 14th of October, followed by a home date with Hamilton on the 21st, and then a road date at Coleman on October 28th to close out the regular season. And in week 11, they'll be Idle.
And obviously we talked about it, earlier in this video, just about this is going to be a very, very competitive district. A lot of teams that are expected to be better. So if DeLeon's going to challenge for the playoffs, kind of where do those wins come from? So if I'm looking at, to me, the game of the year, I'm looking at that district opener against Bangs. I think if you're going to make the playoffs this year from DeLeon, I think that's one you've got to find a way to win. Bangs is dropping down to class 3A Division II. And it has a lot of kids back as well. So that's going to be, I think, a big game for them to kind of determine how the rest of that district schedule goes.
There's 2 games I'm looking at, but Bangs is definitely going to be one of them at home, and another home date against San Saba on the 7th. If they want to try to get a playoff spot, those are 2 games that at home you want to hold serve. And if they can win those 2 ball games, then you can see them in postseason play. Those are the most important games in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree. In this district, it's going to be a dogfight. There really aren't any, pushovers. I mean, so there were some teams last year that had kind of, rough records, but all these teams, had reasons for that. A lot of them were in either the first year with the new coach or young, and all those teams are expected to be better this year. So it's going to be a fun race for that fourth playoff spot. And if things fall right, it's going to be a challenge, but if things fall right, DeLeon could find themselves in that mix.
And with that, it's about time to wrap up tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Day series, the DeLeon Bearcats. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages at Big Country Preps. We've got a monthly for $5 a month, a semi-annual 6-month subscription for $4 a month, and then we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month, $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
And before we close out this episode of our Countdown series, we want to remind you one more time to be on the lookout for that August 17th preseason football preview. We will just have a ton of area football content. You will not want to miss that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Day series. And make sure you join us again tomorrow when we will be talking about the Goldthwait Eagles here at BigCountryPreps.com.